All right. Hit record. Going live in 3, 2.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
If you're watching live, we started a little early so that we could bring you the best of us.
Of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting the best
Which
cream.
includes this.
We are committed to always exceeding your expectations here at Good Day Internet.
Well, I noticed that Justin, Sarah, and myself have all chosen to wear light or at least white tops.
I'm wearing my Gucci waterfall shirt. Haven't worn it in a while. It's a summer favorite.
Nice.
Gucci
Good
waterfall?
Yeah, it's Gucci
That looks like
Mane.
Drake.
It's not. It's trust me. It's Gucci Mane, and he's wearing a white fur jacket that resembles a waterfall, and so it's a meme called Gucci Waterfall.
Gucci waterfall. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a Christmas present to me from a friend of mine a couple of years ago who knows me real well. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever gotten in my life. So
Justin's wearing a lovely white shirt that says death on it.
It does. This is my new drip, Tom. This is my new drip. I like to just buy Japanese wrestling t-shirts.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
The Japanese wrestling.
Cool.
And the only the Japanese actually make wrestling t-shirts that you would want to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike anybody else in America who make awful t-shirts that just make you look like you came from a monster truck event.
Got it. Which, I mean, I guess if that's what you're going for is fine, but
if that were my drip, Tom, then I would
that is not his drip. Let's be clear.
My drip, all right?
Right. Yeah. You are allowed to have your own drip.
Is there anything else to know about that particular t-shirt?
I don't even actually know the performer.
No, okay. What about the hat? You have a little king sitting on a throne.
Yeah, this was a Twitch hat. I forget exactly what the point of it was, but my hair is not in an optimal place, so it's hat season.
Roger, you're just wearing a what they call in Japan a white shirt.
A white shirt. White shirt, yes. It's like a Zoo York shirt, but no.
Tom, I have a question for you.
Justin,
did I surmise from your social media that last night you saw the new Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I have not seen the new Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Huh.
I have, however, eaten dinner at Casa Vega, which is featured in the Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and is selling the Tarantino cocktail.
What does that feature? Or what is that?
It's kind of like a light margarita. Like a fizzier margarita.
Okay. All right. Because I'm going to go see it literally right after this.
I was hoping to do that, but then I don't think I'll be able to, although I might still do it. And if I don't see it tonight, I'm definitely seeing it tomorrow. My wife has seen it. She saw it on Monday.
Well, she sees everything.
I know. It's kind of annoying.
Must be nice to be Eileen.
Yeah. No,
she's like, well, she always invites me. She's always like, do you want to come? I'm like, it's in the middle of Cord Killers. I can't come. No, I can't get over there.
It's a 70 millimeter screening.
Nice.
At the Alamo Draft House, but 4:00 is like the earliest I've seen a movie. Although I feel like this is the gateway for me to become very old very fast. Like I feel like this is
when you start seeing 4 p.m. movies.
Well, yeah, this is like of that, right? Like also it's like this is something that's happened throughout my life is that the movie industry has declined as I got older and therefore started catering more and more to me because it was not long ago that I would be up at midnight to go see movies that I really wanted to go see at midnight. I mean, like the beginning of the MCU, I was there at a theater at 11:59 at night to go see these movies.
Right.
And then slowly they were just like, okay, the midnight movies now start at 10. And then it was like the midnight movies now start at 7. And now it's like the midnight movies is starting at 4:00 in the afternoon at the
I
hour.
know. Well, at first, when the first midnight movie started showing at 9, when I was still living in San Francisco, I was like, "Oh, is it like an East Coast thing? Like we're having it at midnight East Coast, so we'll start it at 9." No, it was because it just kept getting earlier and earlier, like you said.
See, I think that's great.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh my God. No,
I'm like midnight movie. Like I don't want to do that. I'll do it for
Not
the right
anymore.
movie. I'll do it, but I don't want to.
no,
I would much rather go at 4 and be like, that was wonderful at 7 p.m. Let's go to bed.
Yeah, I was. That's and this is what I'm saying, Sarah. This is the seductive siren call of like, wait a minute, could this
Of
be
old
the rest
age.
of my life? Like,
Yeah,
can I get
true.
this stuff done at like 7? Like, oh my God, I could be in bed at 9. This is
Well,
lit,
This
fam.
is great. Yeah.
So when Eileen went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that night, I couldn't make it over to where she was, so I went to my local ArcLight and saw The Farewell. And it was I've now done this a few times where I just show up at the ArcLight, go into its little cafe, have a little dinner, a little light dinner,
Yeah.
and go in and see the
Old
movie.
Fair.
And then come home and, like you say, Sarah, go to sleep.
It's great. A friend of mine, it was his birthday last night, which I didn't know, or I would have said happy birthday, but I got a text from him at like 11, right? He's probably out and about, like, hey, Sarah should come, that kind of thing. I was asleep for at least an hour and a half before that text came in, like didn't get it till 7 a.m. this morning when I woke up. And, I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was your birthday, but like, you can't text me at 11:30 and expect me to do anything on a Wednesday? Like, are you kidding me?
Respond. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm going to be asleep. But even if I was like by some weird chance awake, like I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Question for the table here.
By the way, I have to get this in. W. Scottus 1 writes, in bed by 9 p.m. That's lit, fam.
It is. That's a fact.
That's the new lit.
Yep.
So, all right.
That's my dream.
Yeah, right.
At what time of night are you giving yourself permission to not answer someone, even if they're like a friend, right? Someone that you like text with
9
regularly?
p.m. 9 p.m. is the cutoff.
9 is like, at that point, you cannot, I don't care, unless it's an emergency.
If it's an emergency, of course. But if Tom were to be like, hey, what's going on? Think about this for the show tomorrow. I might be like, 9 p.m. I'll answer you at 6 tomorrow morning when I get up.
Bright and early.
Yeah.
It'll be the first thing I get to. But at that point, whether or not you are asleep, it's plausible that you are now not looking at your phone.
10 p.m. is my cutoff time for sure. Although I think there's a period.
It depends.
There's a period between 8 and 10 where I won't feel bad if I missed it. Right?
Yeah.
Like if I see it, I'll probably respond.
No,
but I'm not.
I'm talking about like throughout the rest of the day. This is somebody that you would immediately hit back, right? Like they are whitelisted just in general. But at a certain point, because I definitely, and it's 10 for me as well, I'll just be like, could be my best friend, hit me up. I'm like, plausible, I'm asleep. Sorry, man.
Yep. 10 is my.
We're not having a conversation.
Yeah.
I think 10 is probably the right cutoff. 9 is maybe a gray period. You might be, I don't know, having a late dinner or
8 to 10 is my gray period for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
It starts to fade. But
10 is definitely after 10.
I don't feel it.
I am slightly offended if it's not an emergency.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing from you because I don't want to talk anymore.
Now that's the thing is like there was a time not long ago before I was very rigid about my sleep that there was no period that existed. Like I would answer text messages. I mean, I remember, it had to be 5 or 6 years ago, but before I moved, actually no, so longer than that, before I moved out here in Florida, I remember I knew it was time to go to sleep when all my British friends on Twitter were talking about their mornings. On East Coast time.
Which is midnight-ish, right?
No.
Probably.
No, it would be like 3, 4 in the morning.
Well, he was in Florida too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 5 hours. 5 hours to London. So if I'm going to sleep at like 4, this is like people like getting to work, like talking about traffic and stuff like that. But and I would probably text back and forth with anybody who would be interested until then. Now I'm shutting it down, man. At a certain point, we're just sorry. I don't know. It's just you're not getting anything back.
I also sometimes will, let's say it's, work is done for the day. I feel like I've been productive, taken the dog out, I've had my dinner, and maybe I'll settle in for, a TV show or read for a little while. And it's like my phone is like in my purse in the other room. So if something happens, I actually don't know. I'm not on the internet. And that is it. That's something that as of late I've become more and more enamored of because it's just, again, if it's an emergency, I will hear the phone ring, but no one's really calling me. It's just it's internet ping stuff that I just I don't want to engage with.
Unless it's family, I won't answer anything after 8.
Yeah.
Apple is buying the majority of Intel smartphone business for $1 billion.
Ooh.
I don't think we need to discuss it.
Wait, that's a quick hit.
But that's definitely, I'm going to write that up. Apple
Okay.
will get 2,000.
Oh shoot, we got Alphabet and Amazon earnings.
Also,
as well.
Amazon missed its earnings. I know, and Alphabet beat its. Alphabet beating might not be that big of a deal, but Alphabet beating could be a big deal if it wasn't ad related. Amazon missing is a big deal though.
Okay. Do we put those into like a single quick hit?
No, I think it's definitely not the Apple and the other.
No,
two.
not Apple.
Right,
But just earnings, like a little earnings.
Well, I want to look at the Alphabet.
Yeah,
and
I know.
decide
This is so new.
if it's even Alphabet beat estimates, but that could mean like, oh, it beat it by a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Amazon beat sales forecasting but missed earnings.
Spending more on its search and YouTube services. Company's net income rose. Revenue jumped 19.3%. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the Alphabet one is. I mean, it's good news for Alphabet, but it doesn't seem
It's
like
nothing that's
wacky,
moving the needle.
Like, whoa,
like
they
so
really blew it
crazy.
away. Because they expected revenue of 38.15 and got 38.94. That's not that big a deal. Amazon fell short of Q2 profit estimates because of Walmart, they say on Reuters anyway. Net sales were forecast of 66 to 70, and analysts expected revenue of 67.
So
it missed.
Yeah, it missed
a little bit.
It was 63.4 was the revenue.
Yeah, that 63.4 beat estimates. Amazon's net income rose to 2.63 billion from 2.53 billion, and $5.07 a share. Analysts are expecting 5.57. I don't think either one of those needs to go in yet. Let's wait and hear what Bezos says later today.
Yeah, I think that,
and then we do it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's better as a second day,
because it's cool. Like it could be. I mean, it still could be a good conversation tomorrow. Like, ooh, Amazon is feeling the pressure, but it'll be more interesting once we have a few more details about it. So I'll just put this Apple confirmation into quick hits. That'll be easy.
Also, line 3 needs a little love. I'm happy to give it some, unless you're on it, Tom.
Line 3, yes, please do.
All right, great,
cool. In the meantime, I'm going to read you guys this cast, and you tell me what project they were all in together. All right.
Okay. All right.
Ed Asner, John Ratzenberger, Meg Ryan, Tim Curry, Martin Sheen.
Oh, it's got to be some animated thing, right?
I could not tell you.
Well, I'll tell you. They were all villains in Captain Planet.
Oh, see, I would not have known that. Come on.
No, I know. I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody to know it. But what a star-studded voice cast for Captain Planet. I don't remember any of that. I mean, obviously I was a kid when it was airing, but like, who knew?
Maybe they were doing voice impressions while they were doing the villain casting, so people would know.
Yeah. Well, that was back when VO was less prestige.
Yes. But there was
that could be them just picking up a little extra work, right? And it's like, it's only VO.
These are all also people that fairly are also like big environmentalist.
Right. They're probably activists. On board for like
this was like a message for the kids. So Let's do that. Oh, I forgot the best one. Sting.
Oh wow, Sting. It was a
Wait,
villain.
which villain was he?
Zarm.
Wait, which one?
Zarm.
Arm.
A former spirit of the planet who left Gaia in search of worlds and ended up laying other populous planets to ruin, lacking Gaia to balance out his methods. He represents war and destruction.
Wow.
By the way, the other Ed Asner played Hoggish Greedley. John Ratzenberger played Rigger. Meg Ryan played Dr. Blight. Martin Sheen played Sly Sludge. Oh, and Jeff Goldblum played Verminous Scum.
Verminous Scum.
He flew around, he controlled rats, and had his own personal helicopter called the Scumocopter.
The Scumocopter. Inventive name.
You think this is just such garbage? Oh, I'm so happy to find this today.
What led you to this?
Yeah, really.
The Captain Planet Wikipedia page was found today because somebody in my chat asked which of the Captain Planet powers I would want to have. And it led me to wanting to remember the name of the Brazilian kid with the heart ring.
Oh, okay.
Matee, for the record.
Matee
was his name. Okay. Yeah.
I have very limited memories of Captain Planet.
I never watched it except for the one episode where one of the Planeteers, the American one, gets thrown to the future where the Earth has been devastated by environmental disaster. It's kind of like a Christmas,
like Days of Future Past.
Yeah, like these are the things that are going to happen, but you still have time to prevent it.
I mean, I'll bet you it was Hoggish Greedley.
I want the Captain Planet cinematic universe with a Hoggish Greedley movie.
And actually, one of the villains was Duke Nukem, who represented nuclear power.
Who eventually became a video game character.
I don't think that was the same Duke Nukem, although I think they wound up coming out at around the
How could it not be the same Duke Nukem?
That's
not like a.
No, it's a different Duke Nukem.
What?
Yeah, Captain.
You know Ed Asner's still alive, right?
Duke Nukem.
I did not know that. In fact, if you had said, "Hey, Sarah, is Ed Asner still alive?" I would have said, "No,
absolutely not." Duke Nukem actually looks like a ripoff of The Thing, of the ever-loving blue-eyed.
That was just two people coming up with the same name.
Yeah, so that was 92.
Ed Asner is 89.
And he's still pretty spry, too.
I mean, 89 these days is not as old as he used to be.
No. And he wound up, he did a thing not too long ago with Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks did a live thing, but they're obviously tight friends for decades and decades.
Mm-hmm.
But he made some appearance there, and they did some like physical comedy. It was really funny.
Is he still doing those commercials?
I don't know.
Like the Social Security stuff.
Didn't he also do Arbor? No, that was someone else. Arbor Day commercials.
What?
Now I just want to go back and put together clips of all the different celebrity voices of the eco villains.
X3JA writes that when the first Duke Nukem game was released, I assume this is copied from Wikipedia, the developers were made aware of a potential legal issue regarding the name when they discovered that one of the villains in Captain Planet was also named Duke Nukem. In order to prevent a potential lawsuit, they changed the name of the game to Duke Nukem, Nukum, in the version 2.0 patch. The makers of Captain Planet hadn't actually bothered to trademark the name Duke Nukem, so the developers of the Duke Nukem video game swooped in and claimed it.
How about that noise?
And the rest is video gaming history.
Yeah.
It really is.
Ed Asner is in multiple productions in pre-production. Wow. I mean, I went on IMDb to see if he's still working. He is working. Some of these got to be VO. There's like 2 TV movies, though, a couple of series, playing a pharmacist and a doctor,
How old
pawn
is
shop
Ed?
owner.
How
89.
old is-
89.
89. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Good on you, Ed. Mr. Asner.
As he is known to people like us who don't know
Probably.
him.
Probably me. Hey, Ed. What's up
Yeah. Hey, Eddie.
today?
Man.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
Ready
no
to go.
Betty White. I'll tell you
No.
what.
This is mean. I don't know if I should talk about this.
We're ready to do a tech news
All right,
show if
good,
you want to talk about
good.
that instead.
No, yeah, that'll avoid me from criticizing or speculating on Ed Asner's dating habits since he got divorced in 2015. Okay, let's move on.
2015. Wow. All right. Would you like to read line 3 since you wrote it?
Would love to.
All right. I'll catch you.
All right.
3, 2.
Coming up on DTNS, Samsung says the Galaxy Fold lives. Gaming adults say they're getting harassed. And did the retweet set us all back?
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, July 25th, 2019. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From the shores of Lake Merritt, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Man, we just had an interesting conversation of when is it too late for you to respond to a text message? Like, what's your cutoff time? If you're a Good Day Internet listener, you just heard that. If you're not, and you're like, man, I want to hang out with you guys and talk about stuff like that, sign up, become a member on the Good Day Internet tier at patreon.com/DTNS. Let's start this show with a few tech things you should know.
eBay is launching Managed Delivery, an end-to-end fulfillment offering for eBay sellers in the US next year. The company will store seller merchandise in third-party warehouses and give sellers the option to provide free 2 to 3 day shipping. Around 1.5 million packages are currently sent daily in the US by eBay sellers, so Managed Delivery will better brand those packages for the company.
NBC and Twitter are partnering to bring limited live Olympic coverage and highlights to the social network during the Tokyo 2020 Games. NBC previously worked with Snapchat for the 2018 Winter Games. The Twitter partnership has an interactive twist. Users can vote on preferred events or athletes, and live streams lasting around 5 minutes will be broadcast on the platform.
Javelin. Team handball. Stock trading service Robinhood is informing some customers it stored their passwords in clear text in an internal system. According to emails seen by ZDNet, Robinhood says it's fixed the issue and is now resetting passwords out of caution, and says it did not find any evidence of abuse. Passwords are being recached using the bcrypt algorithm at Robinhood now.
Samsung announced it made improvements to the Galaxy Fold and plans to sell it in September for $1,980. The top protective layer of the display has been extended beyond the bezel, which should help deter users from thinking that they should remove it, like the typical screen protector, which was a problem in the past. Both hinges of the device now feature protective caps. The space between the hinge and the body has been reduced, and the screen has been reinforced in additional metal layers underneath.
And Apple is buying the majority of Intel's smartphone modem business for $1 billion, as was previously expected. That deal got done a little faster than people expected, actually. Apple will get 2,200 Intel workers, along with equipment, intellectual property, and leases. Let's talk a little bit more about a lawsuit, Justin.
Indeed, Tom. U.S. presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard is suing Google for $50 million after her campaign was suspended from buying ads for 6 hours following a debate in Miami in June. Google told the New York Times that its automated system flags unusual activity like sudden increases in spending. The system triggered the suspension of Gabbard's campaign, and the account was reinstated shortly afterward. The campaign also believes that its emails are being placed in Gmail's spam folders at a disproportionately high rate.
Well, maybe you can be a consultant to the campaign on how to defeat the Aldoritos that puts your newsletters in the spam folder. But this lawsuit against Google is very interesting to me, because this is basically the same thing that underlies a lot of the debates around moderation and whether things should be allowed to be posted, which is, hey, we have an automated system for that.
Yeah.
And the automated system screwed up. So it took us 6 hours to notice and get it fixed.
The problem is that this was a very, very, very valuable 6 hours for Tulsi Gabbard. Here's the reason why I think this lawsuit is being filed, and they should be very, very angry about it. The primary system this year is very unusual just in terms of how much we're paying attention to it. It normally doesn't have this kind of attention this early in the process, but more specifically, the Democratic National Committee has, in an effort to thin out the field a little bit, put in debate floors, debate qualifying floors for people to be able to get on stage during these 10 debates, one of which we've already seen, and this is the one she's suing over. So she has a good debate in June, and right afterward, when attention on her is at its highest, she now can't buy ads to get people to fund her campaign. This is why it's even more important, because one of those debate floors is individual donors. And that's a lot of these candidates that are polling around where she is are having a hard time getting to that number. So that 6 hours is prime time where people just saw her on television. They might have connected with her message. Any way that she can connect with them so they can give $1 is disproportionately valuable to her. And that's why you're seeing such righteous anger in a $50 million lawsuit. As
All
for
right,
the
based on all of that and the fact that she might have a really good case, is she going to get $50 million from Google?
Likely not. I mean, I'm not a legal expert. I think a lot of these kind of things are, I mean, to be honest, I think that this lawsuit will probably do more to just get her name in the news so people might reconnect with her. And again, if you are for Tulsi Gabbard, then donating $1 to her does do a lot to keep her on the debate stage. So I think this does more to just get her name out there, and is a little bit of a dog whistle to anti-technology folks. This has become certainly a campaign issue to say Tulsi Gabbard versus Google, however simplified that version, that headline would be. That is on brand for her.
Yeah, she's not the only candidate on the Democratic side that is using anti-tech as a way to drum up support. So being one of the only ones that's actually suing a company could be a badge of honor, I suppose, because that 50 million isn't going to help her get on the debate stage, because that doesn't qualify as a small donation, right? I mean, it certainly couldn't hurt, but also these court cases don't get resolved fast usually. So I wouldn't expect her to get that 50 million anytime soon. This is all done for being able to talk about it, it seems.
Yeah, no, you'll just know if the settlement is that the entire head count of Google has to make individual donations to Tulsi Gabbard.
I don't think that would be legal, would it?
I mean, I don't know, in their name or something like that. Let the lawyers figure it out.
Yeah, right. That would be crazy. That'd be really interesting.
The Anti-Defamation League published a new report that found 74% of adults who play games online have experienced some form of harassment. In a survey from April of 2019 of more than 1,000 adults, 65% reported severe harassment, including physical threats, stalking, and sustained harassment, while 29% reported being doxxed. The report found that Dota 2 had the most adults quit as playing as a result of harassment. Other games found to have high instances of harassment were Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, Overwatch, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and League of Legends. 80% reported having positive social interactions within games, with World of Warcraft and Minecraft and NBA 2K having the highest percentage. Fun games. 35% of respondents said that they engaged in negative social behavior themselves, from trolling to using offensive names. The report also found moderation policies outdated, with some large commercial spaces unmoderated. ADL suggested that the ESRB take into account online behavior and a publisher's moderation policy when assigning ratings to games.
Yeah, this is probably not going to shock anybody, right? These numbers are not surprising, but they hadn't been collected. And good science means, as I have said in lots of other arenas, going out and testing and finding out if your assumptions are true. The fact that it found out that a lot of assumptions are true is not bad or silly. It's saying, hey, now we've got, some evidence that that's true. And now we can actually take some steps to address that. If we're seeing that this level of harassment is reported, maybe companies should do something about it. Maybe they should update their moderation policies. Maybe they should do moderation in some cases. And I think it's an interesting suggestion. I'm not sure how I feel about it for the ESRB to take that into account. I don't know if it should go in the ESRB rating or if there should be some sort of level of being able to check how bad an online community seems to be. That starts to get weird though. Like, how do you possibly rate that? But it's an interesting suggestion to say, like, hey, the game itself may not be that violent, but you may be exposing yourself to a lot of people talking trash at you, and maybe you don't want that. You should know that before you go in the game, before you buy the game.
I think it's important that it be reported to the ESRB, and I do think that the more and more interaction with these game platforms results in online multiplayer situations where there are toxic communities, then especially because we're talking about a lot of these games are franchises, right? They are people, they are games that make, you know, different versions of themselves, and if you have a persistent toxic community in one, then maybe on the next game you should just the publisher should know, hey, look, we're going to ding you a little bit the next version of this game because you didn't take steps to make this better.
Also, 1,000 adults is not a huge sample size, but to have 65% of those adults saying, yes, I've experienced severe harassment, which include physical threats, that is not to be taken lightly. That is bad news for any online community, whether you're a gaming community or otherwise.
I'm sure some people are like, yeah, that's just the way it is, right? Like, you know, people talk like that to each other in the game. I suppose maybe that is the way it is.
I think gaming ribbing and I'm going to hurt you in real life are very different things.
Well,
Also,
certainly, but I'm just saying, like, I know there are people out there like, yeah, but you know, people say these things. You don't have to take them seriously. Okay, if that's the game you want to play, that's fine. But I think it's fair to say people should know, like, oh, people are going to threaten to kill you if you do poorly on their team in this online game before you go in there.
and also, heaven forbid that your voice sound like a woman or somebody not white.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because by the way, it's important to note this applies to both text and voice chat. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, if somebody threatens me, you know, like I'm going to come to your house and hurt you, just not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Don't want to play that game.
It's like, no, that's it. I'm back to mine.
Yep.
Would have liked to have known that before I spent money on this game.
Mm-hmm.
Pew Research Center analyzed every video posted by 43,770 YouTube channels with more than 250,000 subscribers in the first week of 2019. Among the findings, 10% of those channels created 70% of the videos posted. The top 10% of the most viewed videos made up to 79% of all the views in that period. Only 17% of the 250,000 videos analyzed were fully in English. Videos intended for children were longer and tended to receive more views than other videos. Videos featuring a child younger than 13, whether intended for children or not, received nearly 3 times as many views on average as other types of videos. And videos with children targeted at children were the most popular kind of video of all. And finally, 16% of English language videos were related to current events or politics. The majority were international and did not mention the United States.
Yeah, I think this is a good perspective on YouTube when thinking about what YouTube should do and why they're behaving the way they are. Is that yes, a lot of children watching YouTube, a lot of children in YouTube videos, and
a lot of videos intended for children to watch,
and so
for whatever reason,
all of these conversations about children watching YouTube are like, well, but it's not meant for anyone younger than 13. Well, it's being used that way in a dominant fashion, and YouTube needs to address that. The other part of this I find very fascinating is the amount of English language videos and the content of current events or politics, implying that the large majority of viewers of video out here are not in the US. And so a lot of these things where the US has a concern and YouTube seems to be slow to accommodate it, maybe because of that.
I don't think that we should be surprised by this. America, although it is obviously the home of YouTube and very, very popular here, we talk a lot about the disruption that YouTube has brought to our entertainment landscape. We have a lot of children-oriented programming. We have multiple cable networks. We have multiple over-the-top streaming platforms. Around the world, that's not always the case in native languages. You know, this is something that YouTube is a global force in a very different way in some other parts of the world than it is here, where it's just, oh, wow, it's this cool thing that the kids are paying attention to, but they're in more restrictive media environments or less children-centric media environments, it can be the only game in town.
All right, we've had a couple of stories in a row with numbers, with hard numbers in them. Let's get back to some theory, some qualitative analysis from
Yeah.
Jonathan Zittrain. Big fan of Jonathan Zittrain. He's a really smart guy. Has a piece in the New Yorker about what he calls intellectual debt. No, that's not what you think it is. That is studying and discovering that something works, but without knowing how. So you know something works, but you haven't figured out the reason. So he calls that an intellectual debt. There's sort of a deficit in our understanding. For instance, aspirin existed in many forms as a folk remedy. And then aspirin itself, the modern day version, was discovered in 1897. But a convincing explanation of how aspirin actually worked to dull pain and reduce inflammation was not determined until 1995. We were just using aspirin like, I don't know, takes care of my headache. Don't know how it works. So Zittrain suggests that machine learning also incurs intellectual debt because we don't know how algorithms get good at identifying cats, et cetera. We know how to train an algorithm. We know how to set up an algorithm, but how it actually learns what is a cat and what isn't, we don't know. That's a black box. And that means we will not know when it fails unless we know already what the answer should be. We can tell how good it is at identifying cats because we know cats. But there's a lot of scenarios for machine learning, especially in public health, where they're saying we want machine learning to discover something that we haven't seen yet. And that intellectual debt could be a problem if we can't tell if it's right or not. Not a big deal, as Zittrain says, for creating new pizza recipes, right? But kind of a big deal for health recommendations. He points out a study from MIT's Lab 6 in 2017 that altered the pixels throughout a cat photo so that the photo itself just looked like a regular cat to a human. But Google's image recognition algorithm Inception, which does the classification for image search, identified it as guacamole. And that's
a
not
weird looking
because
cat.
it was a green cat or, it was sitting in a taco bowl or something. No,
Yeah.
it was just a regular image of a cat, but pixels that we couldn't see were put in a pattern that fooled the machine learning because the machine learning doesn't actually know what a cat is. It knows this arrangement of pixels, and I say cat, I get told I'm right. So I keep doing that. Now, Zittrain is concerned that trade secrets, which keep us from being able to see data sets, proprietary code from businesses, could hinder how the analysis of ML works because we can't work on figuring out how a data set ends up with a particular result. And that reliance on well-performing AI could reduce human oversight and prevent us from catching errors or bias. So something to be thinking of as we use machine learning.
I think an obvious question that someone might ask is, well, okay, aren't humans the ones that are putting the machine learning trials into place? If Lab 6 altered the pixels of a cat photo in order to trick the machine, couldn't they teach the machine to understand that it was being tricked?
Sort of. Yes. Like doing things like that help to figure out, okay, how do we make sure that it doesn't get tricked by that? But the principle might be so broad that, well, we could teach it how to recognize that is a cat, not guacamole. But is that lesson going to be widely applicable? And the point is, other bad actors could also go in and figure out other ways to rearrange things, other ways to fool the algorithm
Sure.
to get away with stuff.
I mean,
So it's more of a general situation of like, how do we make sure that we improve machine learning so that it doesn't have these errors as often?
Well, yeah, and look, all systems can be hacked, including the ones between our ears, right? Like there are many ways that we can that we are fooled, and machine learning is no different. But I do think that this is a good everybody. Let's pay attention to the reality of what machine learning is. That this is not AI and machine learning gets tossed around so much these days that we kind of tend to think that it's like, oh no, it's at a certain point it becomes a magic spell, and it's not. It's a program and it has all the failabilities of a program, and we shouldn't over rely on it or just assume that it knows best going forward. Because as Sarah pointed out, it is just a system that we're going to have to bit by bit show, we're going to have to patch when people try to fool it in the same way that we patch any system.
Yeah, and it gets to the point where saying and a machine learning can recognize a cat is an easy way to express something so we understand what it's doing. Like, oh, when I give it a picture of a cat, it'll tell me whether it's a cat or not. But that's not actually what it's doing. It's a misrepresentation because the machine learning doesn't know what a cat is. It has no conception of cat. It doesn't have a way to check, like, wait a minute, that cat looks a little weird. We don't know how it's determining what a cat is and what it isn't. And that's kind of the point of Zittrain's column. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. Chris Weatherall has had a conversation with the folks at BuzzFeed saying he regrets building the retweet button for Twitter. He led the team that made the retweet button in 2009. Initially, when he was working on it, he said he thought it would help elevate underrepresented voices, and to a large extent it has. But after he launched the button and saw how people were using it, he says he thought we might have just handed a 4-year-old a loaded weapon. Now, he's not alone. Jason Goldman, the head of product for Twitter in 2009, is quoted in this BuzzFeed article as saying the biggest problem is the quote retweet. Quote retweet allows for the dunk. It's the dunk mechanism because you can retweet it and then put your little
add a little,
snazzy
extra
something to it.
Extra something, yeah.
Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey also told BuzzFeed, definitely thinking about the incentives and ramifications of all actions, including retweet. Retweet with comment, for instance, might encourage more consideration before spread. So he's like, well, maybe it's not so much dunking, maybe it slows you down. And the concern seems to be around how the retweet button reduced friction in spreading. So before, you had to copy and paste to make a retweet, and you had to type RT. And that slowed you down, made you think about it, and maybe all of that was too much trouble for you, like, you know what, it's not worth it, and you might not do it. Whereas pressing a button, boom, you didn't even have to think about it. Yeah, I'm going to spread that. Boom, there it goes. That kind of virality attracted publications and journalists and politicians to the platform. It caused Facebook to add a retweet-like function at the time called Mobile Share. And in 2014, Weatherall says he started noticing how Gamergate posters were using retweets. There was no real defense for targets against reputational harm when they were targeting retweets at a particular person. And he says, it dawned on me that this was not some small subset of people acting aberrantly. This might be how people behave, and that scared me to death. Now, he doesn't say we should get rid of the retweet button. He has some ideas about what we could do about it. But Justin, I know just the hand-wringing has an effect on you.
Tom, this bothers me. It is a trend that we are now seeing, and be they ex-founders, ex-board members, ex-engineers. This is just this new trend in stories where a beleaguered Dr. Frankenstein comes out and very dramatically says, yes, it was me. I built the monster that ruined society. And we all think about the flaws in our own humanity and what we have wrought with this technology. It just is tiresome to me. And it's not that he doesn't have good points. It's not that there's not a good discussion to be had around the virality of retweets. Although I personally find that if we are, this just is a very engineer's way of looking at the world, that the world would have been different if I would have programmed these things a little differently, because I am the true engineer of all humanity. And this would not have happened. Gamergate would not have existed on the level that it was if I had not built the retweet button, which I don't subscribe to, but I can get where they're coming from.
There's a lot of stuff that is now the norm within Twitter that was created by the community. Hashtags, another example. Twitter didn't do that. People just started doing that. And so it became something that has become part of the social network vernacular over a period of time. I personally, the retweet of, if Justin says, hey, had a great time on DTNS, here's the link, I might just go ahead and retweet that. I don't know. It's easier than, but I might, if you were to say, had a great time on DTNS, but something weird happened, then I might do the quote retweet and add a little context. And I actually think that that's a great tool. And that's actually what I use more than anything. The idea that, well, bad actors are, using this button to spread misinformation is not actually changing the behavior that existed before. It's making it slightly easier. But I'm not sure that the retweet button has actually brought down our society all that much.
Well, yeah, it's overstating it. And I get what Justin's saying, where a lot of these protestations tend to feel like, I don't want you to hate me for being the engineer that worked on the thing you now hate, right? On the other hand, I do think
but also inherently give me credit for building a thing you love that you
Right.
people
It was
brought out the
me.
worst in you.
I do think though that it is legitimate and a good thing for an engineer to say, man, I wish I would have thought more about this. And now
Yeah.
knowing what I know, let me come up with a solution. And that's where I'll give Weatherall some points where some other of these sorts of things I've read are just end up in, and so it needs to be shut down, essentially, is kind of the implication, where Weatherall says, no, we can't take it away, but there is a problem in that frictionlessness. In your example of retweeting Daily Tech News Show, with the retweet button, I do that all the time. Before the retweet button, I wouldn't have copy and pasted your post and put it in mine with an RT. I would have been like, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just write my own, right? It definitely has that effect of making you hit that button in a way you wouldn't have before. So Weatherall's solutions that he proposes are, if a group, not an individual, but an audience, he calls it, is regularly amplifying what he calls awful posts. Devil's in the details how you determine what an awful post is, certainly. But if we all agreed on what an awful post was and a group was retweeting that, and you could see like, okay, these 1,000 people are all doing this, you suspend the ability of members of that audience to retweet, to slow it down, to say like, okay, you're breaking the rules by doing this, and so we're gonna pull that, but we're not pulling it from everybody. He also says maybe a better way where you don't have to determine content would just be to limit the number of times any tweet can be retweeted, which is similar to what WhatsApp is doing with forwards. You can only forward a message 5 times.
Well, but the thing with WhatsApp is those are private groups that you are then creating, a mass hysteria by.
Well, they're often public groups, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but they are self-defined kind of groups.
Mhm.
In a world where you're only able to retweet something a certain amount of time, then the new measure of what is a really successful retweet will be how many versions of the same tweet you made, so you can retweet it.
But that would slow it down because you'd have to make multiple versions.
Yes, and yeah, it would. My point is, this was a community behavior before they had the button. And so if we're saying that things got worse when you eliminated whatever that moment of time was between copying and writing RT before that tweet, then theoretically it would be better if we had to wait even longer. Maybe we have to wait an hour. Maybe we have to wait 12 hours. Maybe it could be a 3-day waiting period, like buying a gun before you
Okay, now don't bring
think
in
about
guns.
it. I know.
Well, it's sort of like, okay, so it's like
our conversation.
it's the kind of thing like if somebody that you consider sort of like, ooh, social media villain, you might follow them on Twitter. Does that mean you like them? Not necessarily. We've all seen the bios that say retweets are not endorsements. Does that mean that every time you retweet something that someone said, it means that you're endorsing what they said? Well, no. But there's been a backlash from people saying, okay, well, you can't do that. You have to provide context, or else people will think that you are endorsing it. And so I think that there's some ambiguity there that does need to be addressed.
I think you may be discounting how much of an effect that delay has. I don't think it has to be days or hours, but the idea that I had to cut and paste kept me from retweeting things. That just clicking a button kind of abdicates my responsibility. And I think on a massive scale of hundreds of millions of users, that doesn't make a difference. So even if you just say you can't retweet unless you've clicked the link, or you say you can retweet this, but maybe it'll be delayed for 3 minutes and you have to confirm. I don't know. I don't know what the best answer is, but I think there's something to what he's saying.
I don't know. 2-factor authentication in a 7-day wait period. That's what I'm running my campaign on.
Excellent. Well, just be careful that you don't get your account suspended by Google, and everything will be fine.
You know what won't be suspended? Our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on others, whether they be retweet stories or other ones. Anything that you want us to put our eyes on. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow.
Let's check out the mailbag.
Sumidip pointed out that while Netflix mobile only plan, which we talked about in India at 199 rupees per month, is cheaper than Hotstar's premium 299 rupees per month, you can pay for a year of Hotstar premium for 999 rupees, which actually makes that cheaper. And Netflix's full premium plan is 799 rupees per month. Sumidip adds, I have myself unsubscribed to Netflix because of its cost. And even this 199 plan of rupees, not tempting enough. India is a price-sensitive market. And for Netflix to be able to have deep inroads, they'd have to price it more competitively. In my opinion, $199 plan isn't going to make much of a difference. Also, Netflix has the disadvantage of fewer local content offerings as compared to Hotstar or even Amazon Prime Video. More new Bollywood movies make their way to Amazon Prime Video than to Netflix, and they don't have the television content that Hotstar does. So, the operative principle in the mind of the Indian consumer is summarized in the popular Hindi phrase Sundar Sasta Tikau, which means attractive, cheap, and durable.
Yeah, I think it's legitimate to compare the 199 plan to the 299 Hotstar plan because people don't look at things that closely sometimes and will think, oh, I know Hotstar's 299, 199 is cheaper. That's attractive to me, right? That's cheap. I don't know if it's durable or not, but your point is well taken that when you look at it closer, Hotstar's plan is actually more comparable to Netflix's plan because it's not limited to mobile only, and Netflix's plan is a lot more expensive. So whether Netflix wins that marketing war or not is interesting. I think the content offering is the bigger hurdle that Netflix has to overcome. They have done it before where they come into a market and just don't have the content to compete with the incumbent, but end up getting that content eventually. It takes them a while, but they get it. So that will be the thing to keep your eye on to see if Netflix is really going to survive or not. That said, I don't think it's a bad idea for them to have the 199 mobile plan, but I think it's well taken by Sumyadip to point out like this isn't the silver bullet. They don't win just because of that.
Thanks, everybody who contributes to our mailbag every day. We love you. We also love Justin Robert Young, who contributes to our show at least once a week, sometimes if we're lucky, even more. Justin, where can people find out what other stuff you're doing?
Oh, well, you can find me talking about politics at politics.com. It's also a little bit of a blog now these days. So if you want, I'm doing old-fashioned writing with these fingers. I'm dusting them off and actually writing things on a fairly regular basis. So that's pretty fun. But go ahead and check out the podcast. Had a really fun interview actually this week with a night chair at the Annenberg School at the University of Southern California, all about religion and politics and how that has evolved over the years, and specifically how all the 2020 candidates are using their own religious backgrounds to shape some of their message. Fascinating, no matter where on the spectrum you find it. So go ahead and check that out. Politics.com.
Hey, a big thank you to John F. Walzer and Alan Moore, who both just started supporting Daily Tech News Show. Welcome into the tent. You're in the membership alongside years-long members like Alan Shepard and others. So I hope you enjoy the ad-free RSS feed, the special episodes. I've got one coming up this weekend, sort of talking about why I'm always for but also against the thing you love. If that sounds interesting, that's my editor's desk topic coming this Saturday. If you're a member at the $5 level and up at patreon.com/DTNS.
We've got an email address, and that email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We are also live. If you can join us live, we'd love to have you Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 2030 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Aaron Carson from CNET. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Great show.
I will neither confirm nor deny that part of my vociferous defense of the retweet button is because one of my tweets yesterday went viral.
You needed to disclose that, Justin.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Aha, now it all comes clean.
Well, I don't know, what is the line for
Yeah,
virality?
what's wrong with the retweet button?
What is the line for virality? How many
That's
retweets?
a good question.
before
I don't know
it's viral?
exactly. Like, do we have an objective stance on how many retweets you need?
I would say it's like somewhere around 1,000.
Then
Well,
I
and
think
it's acceleration too. It's not just number. Like if I get 1,000 retweets over a month, that's not that viral. If I get 1,000 retweets in a half hour,
I
that's
think
pretty-
yes. I think that's an important. And I mean, I don't think I've ever gotten 1,000 retweets on anything I've ever said. Sometimes
No.
I get like where I'm like, oh, okay, that moved the needle a little bit, but not like to
And I
that
guess, all right,
level.
so what do you
I would
call-
not call anything I've said on Twitter a viral tweet by
This,
any
this, was,
stretch.
this was my tweet yesterday. Congressman, is it true to say this is a horse? Robert Mueller, yes. Congressman, would you also say that it is true that it is dead? Mueller, true. Congressman, would it then be true to say that we are currently beating this dead horse? Mueller, I would refer you to my report. 89 retweets. So maybe not
Not bad.
viral.
Oh yeah,
That's
pretty
more
good.
that's more than the usual.
Yeah, that's viral for you.
Yeah.
Certainly, right? Yeah. We got some good title suggestions in the show bot. Using the bang ass command in Twitch or Discord, you can submit show titles. And they'll show up at gooddayinternet.showbot.tv, also dtns.showbot.tv. For instance, another Jay Martin suggested we call the show Holy Guacamole. It's a cat.
I love it. That's a good one.
Rated T for toxic, another one. Reconsidering retweet, good one for the main topic. Don't follow 4-year-olds. I guess that's
that
what
was
the
the
YouTube-
gun, the 4-year-old you were handing out.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Which, for the record, he brought up guns first.
Okay, you're throwing faux pas under the bus. I see.
Oh, no. I'm saying, no, it was Weatherall. Weatherall brought
The
up.
Weatherall did. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all
we
right.
had
all
him
right.
just handed a 4-year-old a loaded weapon.
That's true. He did. No, you're right. Justin details his presidential campaign.
Also, it's now an even 90 retweets since ICU, who I assume is listening right now. Just
well done. ICU also just put 90 in the chat room. So
there we go. Yeah.
Confirming that. Yeah. What is a cat and what isn't? I don't know. I mean, if we want to go main topic, reconsidering retweet is a good one from Mojam. Holy Guacamole, it's a cat. Pretty great. Another J Martin submitted it, but Mojam created it. Thank you for that.
So which one is it, do you think? Holy guacamole, it's a cat.
Any opinions?
Hello?
I want the holy guacamole.
Holy guacamole.
That's what I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Oops, sorry.
Done.
But thanks to everyone else who participated.
Now, for Good Day Internet, we could call it Flying Around Controlling Rats, Daily Tech Not Sleeping, Battle of the Duke Nukems, How Late is Too Late. I like How Late is Too Late. That was Zoe Brings Bacon.
So wait.
Which is, it's a relative answer.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
So, sorry, I was busy copying and pasting holy guacamole. The GDI pick was...
We hadn't quite settled.
Sorry.
But, How Late is Too Late? We good with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Done. So...
Holy guacamole.
How late is too late?
I actually buy that at Costco. Holy guacamole.
Is it called holy guacamole?
Yeah, it's
Costco
a
before.
brand of little portion cup sized guacamole.
What is a portion cup size?
So like when you go to Denny's and you get like a baked potato and they give you like a little side of butter in that little plastic cup.
Okay, well, it's been a while.
But that's
and
a
I would
portion
never
cup.
get a potato, but okay.
Well, that's what a portion cup is. It's very small. So like a pat of butter or two.
Okay. And this would be designed to be like, do you have a burrito? You want to put a little guacamole on the top of it?
Yeah, or
this
if you
is,
just want
this
like,
is just the right amount.
Yeah, just kind of like, oh, I have some chips. I can eat it with guacamole, but I don't want to open a giant like 8-ounce thing of guacamole. Think of it as
I
kind
never
of
have that problem because I'm like 8 ounces, like done. That was dinner.
Well, think of it as kind of like a lunch
Doesn't
box
seem like that much.
item that you would pack. Like, oh, here's
Yeah.
your Lunchables. Here's
Okay.
your holy
That's
guacamole.
probably
No, I'm
the
with
lunchbox
you.
portion of it probably makes a lot
Perhaps I've already had my dinner, but I still want to have some guacamole. I could eat
There
the
you go.
smaller little pack. Well, you're up to 92 retweets now, Justin.
I'm killing the game.
You're killing it.
I had some guacamole yesterday at Casa Vega. The whole Casa Vega thing ended up because Eileen saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We were driving to get gelato and we passed it. And she was like, oh, right. That was in that. Did I tell you that was in the movie? and Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio go in there and they call out that it's Casa Vega and everything.
Mhm.
So when we were driving back from getting ice cream, we decided to stop and eat dinner. So yes, we had our dessert first, then our dinner.
I love it. Change the ratio.
I had Scotch whiskey chocolate gelato.
Oh, how was
Ooh.
it?
It's really good.
I don't know.
Was it more? Was it a peaty?
What?
It was a peaty Scotch. Like Eileen tried it and was like, "Yeah, no, don't really like that kind of Scotch." But that's how good of a replicate it was. Like it tasted like
so
Scotch.
it was ice cream, but also you ate a wallet type thing.
Yes, in the best possible way.
Well,
Eh,
I'm not gonna poo-poo it without having a try, but
Look,
it
it's
doesn't sound totally up my
Venn,
alley.
it's a Venn diagram. If you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
Scotch,
You're not-
you're not
yeah,
going to like this ice
in
cream
any
because it's
form.
really good at replicating the taste of Scotch.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's also like, I mean, I love coffee, but I don't like coffee ice cream because it's too sweet. It
Right.
would be like
okay.
having coffee with sugar in it. I don't like that either.
I don't think this falls victim to that. Like it's a gelato and the chocolate is just kind of a like you're eating chocolate with Scotch, but in ice cream form.
Do you like an Irish coffee or coffee that has liquor in it?
Well,
Because I think that's part of it too. Because
I just call it
I don't like that
coffee.
stuff. But
we just call
I
it
mean,
coffee around my house. But yeah,
I mean, I like coffee too, but I've never really liked coffee based liquor drinks.
I am with you, and nor do I really enjoy Irish coffee, where it's like I don't know, for whatever reason, the very specific, and maybe because like they're similar in my mind. Like I like a glass of scotch, I like coffee, and like and they have the same kind of stinging, sort of pleasing taste profile.
Yeah, right.
Put them together, it's like two things that are too similar that I just don't like for whatever
I
reason.
also feel like coffee is like first thing in the morning. You want to wake up? All right, this is part of your morning routine. Add alcohol to that, it throws me all off. I don't know when
Well,
when do I
yeah.
drink it and why? I don't want to do it.
It's for most healthy people, probably not a morning drink. You're right.
No, but I mean, but I also
it
don't
could
drink
be
coffee in the afternoon.
It's a
so.
nice afternoon. Like if you
Yeah.
drink coffee in the afternoon, which many people do, or even in the early evening, that's when you have it. If you're like, no, I
Sure.
can't have coffee after 3 p.m. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I can't have coffee after noon.
I can't have coffee after like 7. Otherwise,
Oh,
I'm fine.
yeah. I mean, if I had coffee at 7, I'd be up for 3 days. That's probably an exaggeration, but I mean, I wouldn't sleep that night.
I have been to Buena Vista in San Francisco, the home of Irish coffee.
And you know what? They're good.
So
They
good.
are.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're not my thing, but it is a place that I frequent every so often, and it has a storied history, and they're pretty good.
And what's great is they say it originated in the Cork airport. I've been to the Cork airport. Didn't see any mention of Irish coffee having been invented there.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. If you go to
Well, it
Buena
may have
Vista in San
originated there, and then all
Francisco,
the Irish people are like, "We don't like this."
the Buena Vista, like the Buena Vista menu says like this was created by so and so in the Cork airport, and then eventually he brought it over here and started the Buena Vista. And I've read other things outside of the Buena Vista restaurant that are like, nah, that's just a fairy tale. That never happened. It was created at the Buena Vista.
Well, that might be true as well.
Hard to say. It's not like Irish people make things up though. Okay.
That's correct, Tom.
Yeah.
You ever seen me lie about anything?
Me
Nope.
either.
The
Never.
answer is no.
That's right.
We're Irish. Don't
Right.
lie about anything.
No,
Call me a liar?
I'll fight you. I am looking forward to showing Ireland to Eileen when we go there.
Oh, when are you going?
So jelly.
Veronica and Eileen and I are going to Ireland in a couple of weeks for Worldcon. Veronica and I are going for Sword and Laser, and Eileen's tagging along.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know I already asked you this, but you're going to be in Dublin, right?
Correct.
And so Guinness factory, kind of a must.
Oh yeah,
It's
St.
so
James
fun.
Gate will
So
happen.
fun. Yeah, exactly. And then, depending on how much free time you have, the beautiful thing that I found about Ireland when I was there was, Dublin is it's a cosmopolitan city
Yeah, it's a happening
in
city.
a small way, but it is. It has, all the things that you would expect from a European city in general.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
you go to
super
Trinity
beautiful.
College Dublin. They got the Book of Kells there.
All
I've
of it.
seen that.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
right.
Lots of stuff.
Forever 21. You can go there in Dublin. But but you get outside of the city and it so quickly just turns into that sort of idyllic Ireland experience because that actually is what Ireland is.
We're going to on the Game of Thrones tour.
Cool.
They drive you around all the sites in Ireland and Northern Ireland where they shot.
Cool.
And then I think we're going to the Cliffs of Moher where they
can't miss it.
That Led Zeppelin album cover was based on.
It's
picture.
Don't fall off the side.
No.
Otherwise, it's so beautiful. It's crazy.
Eileen was going to go to the Blarney Stone. I've already been, but now she's wondering if maybe she'll just kick it around Dublin that day. Because there's 2 days in there where Veronica
You're
and I are
supposed
at
to
the
kiss
conference.
it. It's kind of gross.
Yeah, that's I'm not down with that. Like considering like most of
it's our tradition, Justin.
Whatever, it's gross.
Listen, I'll tell you, I kissed it, and my luck did not change. So I got a bone to pick with the Blarney Stone.
You're not a representative sample of the Blarney Stone.
Maybe you should have to wait 3 days before you kiss it.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah.
By the
well,
way,
they do a whole thing too where they like put you upside down. It's kind of silly.
They hold your ankles.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's a little weird.
You have no idea during that Twitter discussion how much I wanted to slip in. That was like the classic Stossel escalation point. Which is I'm really what a horrifying nerd I am that I've memorized John Stossel's speaking style so much that I know a classic Stosselian escalation of like, well, after all, if having a few seconds before you quote and type it is good, then what about a day? What about 3 days? What about a year? That would be better, right?
It turns out that sometimes it's not just more, but the right amount that you need, John.
Yeah, I know.
All right. We started a little earlier today, and we're going to have to wrap up a little earlier today, but that means you get about the same amount of Good Day Internet as you always get. So I hope you enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed it, and we will see you again tomorrow. Please have a good day.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.